As you can see, our boys are growing real big now. Look, they just had breakfast. That's Snow. Look at that little face though. He's a little devil, this one. They're all little devils, seriously. I really should have called them the Three Stooges. They get into all sorts of mischief. But you know, they're puppies and puppies do. So, and out here, I mean, what harm could they do? They don't really chase the livestock. Every now and again they try it, but my father-in-law puts them in their place. But there's Tim. He's a happy little bunny. I don't know where Noodle is. He's got to be around here somewhere. But they pretty much please themselves what they do. They just roam around all day long, and yeah, sometimes they do chase the chickens a bit, but again, father-in-law puts them in their place if he catches them. So yeah, all in all, they're really good dogs. Ultimately, a lot of the farmers here have dogs, and the idea, of course, is to keep poachers off the land. So yeah, it's a good thing. Well, there's poor old Pie, look, and she's not well at all. Not well at all. She had a hell of a fever last night, but you know, that's the price she paid for going swimming in that lake. You know, when it was freezing cold. I wouldn't have done it, but there you go. Anything for a few snails and some fish, eh? God dear me. Well, I've come to one of my favourite places along the Mekong River, about 4 kilometres from where we live. I've shown you this before, the new Mekong Walkway. It is so nice out here. And the best thing, of course, is so quiet. You can hear just a little bit of road traffic noise from the main road a few yards away, but apart from that, nothing. Absolutely beautiful. And we even have a boat coming down here today. Now, from the title of this video, I'm sure there's an awful lot of you guys there are probably shaking your head and wondering what sort of trouble I'm going to get into. It is a subject that I've been asked about on numerous occasions. The most prevalent question I think I've been asked is Thailand really as corrupt as they say it is? This video is not about finger pointing at any individual government body, organisation, company or individual. This is not what it's about. I'm going to explain the issues that this country faces. The best way to start this is to look at the 2016 report by Transparency International on their Perception of Corruption Index. Thailand is now currently listed at 101st place in the world. Of course, Thailand's not alone in this predicament. It's surrounded by countries that are equally as corrupt, if not more so. You have China, you have Myanmar, formerly Burma, you have Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia and Malaysia. Across the water, of course, you also have Indonesia and the Philippines. Corruption is one of those things, it is widely accepted that it never really benefits the nation, it benefits just a few. And there's only one shining example of a country here that I know of in Southeast Asia that has managed to not eradicate corruption, that's almost impossible, but rather stifle it to the point where it's no longer a huge issue, and that's Singapore. They're number 7 on the list, which makes them one of the most uncorrupt countries in the world. Denmark is number 1. Apparently it's the cleanest country in the world. Most expats will realise there are several subjects that foreigners, and indeed Thais, shouldn't really talk about. And they shouldn't really talk about them because there's an air of fear that surrounds them. Fear of persecution, basically. Let me explain. Last week, Thailand was summoned to Geneva by the United Nations. Basically, the UN and a lot of the human rights groups want Thailand to explain why the government insists on using things like Article 44, which basically gives them sweeping powers, and why the Computer Crimes Act still allows for people to be prosecuted when they point the finger at those who are corrupt. The Computer Crimes Act essentially doesn't allow people to freely point the finger. So if an individual points the finger at an individual company, organisation or the government, they can be prosecuted under the Computer Crimes Act. Not only can they face criminal charges, often resulting in lengthy prison sentences, they can also be sued for defamation by the aggrieved individual. It's almost irrelevant at times whether the accusations are true. Individuals, companies, organisations and government bodies will generally jump all over somebody who dares point the finger. And this is where the problem lies. This is where corruption not only is allowed to take root, it flourishes. When people do not have the ability to point the finger, it's one of those things where most countries have recognised and have put in place laws that allow people to blow the whistle and be protected under the law. Yes, it's fair enough to say that, you know, if you're going to point the finger at somebody, then you should have factual evidence. That's a cool barge, isn't it? The question is really, it's about how we can stifle corruption. There's no denying the fact that this government has acknowledged the fact that corruption is a problem. We're currently under a military junta, and they have openly acknowledged that corruption is a problem, and they have vowed and pledged that they will tackle it. Unfortunately, with the existing Computer Crimes Act, it's unlikely they'll ever be able to achieve it. To tackle any type of problem requires a number of steps. The first step is that you have to acknowledge there is a problem, and there's no two ways about it. Thailand has acknowledged the fact that there is a huge problem with corruption. The second step would be to drag it kicking and screaming into the light. There's no other way you can do it. It is extremely painful, and yes, a lot of people are going to suffer, but generally only those who are corrupt. Once you can allow people to point the finger openly and freely with factual evidence, then of course you can start bringing it into the light and tackling the problem. Singapore did exactly that. But until Thailand can actually achieve these two goals, then I'm afraid corruption is here to stay. Many people have tried, not just Thais, but foreigners as well. And just to name a few, you have Andrew Drummond, Andy Hall, Jonathan Head of the BBC, and Alan Morrison of Phuket One. They've all tried to address issues of corruption, and they've all found themselves facing the full force of the law, the Computer Crimes Act. And of course, those that they've allegedly aggrieved are facing civil suits, which will ultimately result in vast sums of money being handed over in damages. It is a shame, it's really a shame, because at the end of the day, corruption benefits nobody but the few. It doesn't help an economy. It certainly doesn't help a country move forward. Can it change? Yes, of course it can. If Singapore can do it, then of course every other country can do it. If Denmark can do it, then sure, every other country can do it. It requires that the government eradicate fear, in fear of persecution, fear of prosecution. And until this happens, this merry-go-round, I'm afraid, will continue to go on and on. In other words, the government will announce that it's going to crack down. A few weeks later, they'll announce they're going to have another crackdown, and it will continue. And it doesn't matter whether we're under a military government or we're under a civilian government. This particular issue has been aired time and time again, and yet there have been little or no results. So there you have it, folks. That's my take on corruption here. It is an extremely delicate subject, and one that most people, vloggers, journalists and everybody else, avoids like the plague, and they do so out of fear. The report hasn't yet been published on the meetings in Geneva. Whether anything will come out of that, of course, is questionable. It really is a case of waiting to see. But the truth of the matter is, if Thailand as a nation and its people ever truly want to progress and move beyond just being a developing nation, then corruption has to be eradicated, or should I say, it has to be significantly reduced. Again, you're never going to eradicate it. There will always be those individuals who are greedy and want more for themselves just so they can step over others. And that, I'm afraid, is human nature, and it's not indicative of Thailand. It happens all over the world, even in places like the United Kingdom, the United States and the European Union. I'm afraid that we're moving into an era of fear. Our governments like to make us fearful. They like to keep us despondent, and above all, they like to keep us ignorant. But there is a movement where people are beginning to stand up and say enough is enough, and that is when things really take a change. So there you go, guys. That's my take on corruption, not just here in Thailand but worldwide. It is corrupt. It's widely acknowledged that it's corrupt, and if it ever wants to change, then it's up to the Thai people and the Thai government to make that change. And that's about all I'm going to say on the subject. That's all I really can say on the subject. I can only hope that this country moves forward. I dearly love it. I dearly love being here, and I would like to see it and its people, progress. So there you go, guys. That's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. Before you bombard me with questions, please be aware that there are no doubt going to be questions that I will not be able to answer, purely because the law prevents me from doing so. So please, if I don't answer the question, you'll know it's because it wouldn't be wise for me to do so. I will try and tackle other issues. There are many other issues that need tackling. Again, most of these are shied away from by most foreigners and even Thais because of the climate of fear. But I do believe that for anyone or any country to move forward, really it needs being brought into the light. And sometimes change is painful. But of course, if you want things to move in a better direction, then you have to make a change. So there you go, guys. That's it for today. I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget, whatever you do, have a fantastic day and stay safe. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.